Welcome to Cord Cutting This Week, episode number 3, the weekly podcast where we dive into some of the biggest stories happening in the world of cord cutting from the past week. It is May 17th when we're recording this, 2019. Welcome, Jess. Great to have you back here.
Hi, thanks for having me back.
So it's been a busy week. So paid TV shows happen with a ton of executives. We'll talk about that in a second. New fronts upfronts or wherever they call it in New York is where all the old media is coming together and begging. Basically, new fronts and upfronts is where like Viacom and Disney and CBS goes to meet with advertisers and press. Some get invited. We were honored to be there. And they show up what's coming up and they basically make a pitch that says, give us your dollars. We want your money on our TV network. And what's very interesting is a lot of it was streaming. We learned about NBC's new streaming service. Of course, Disney and Hulu made announcements earlier about it and so forth. It's been a very interesting week. Anything really kind of jump out at you, Jess?
I was just paying attention to all of your coverage about everything that you were seeing. It really was just so much. It was hard to, I guess, process it all. So I'm kind of looking forward to this weekend when I get to sit down and go over everything and kind of get it together.
Join the crowd, because I've been, in the last 5 weeks, I've gone to New York, Vegas, Michigan, and now Denver. I got like 2 weeks where I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to enjoy it. But let's talk about the paid TV show real quick. So funny thing, I did hear some of the readers like, why is Luke going to a show called the paid TV show? And it really is a lot more than just paid TV. It does offer a ton of content out there with Sling TVs, PlayStation Views, Amazon. The head of the Amazon Fire TV was there. Very nice. Made an announcement that 34 million Fire TV accounts. Talk about that a bit and more. But all Philo, PlayStation View, Sling TV executives, Zumo, Pluto TV, etc., right next to Cox and Spectrum and several other cable executives. And it's very interesting to see, sometimes on the stage at the same time, often not. I don't know if that was like, hey, I don't want to sit next to those stinky streaming services. But it was very painful at times to sit there, because here's cable executive. Oh, you can't get the Pac-12 network unless you have cable. So, cord cutters, if you're a sports fan, you can't be a cord cutter. I want to up there and be like, Pac-12 network is available. And there was an executive from Cheddar, which is based on New York. Oh, I didn't cut the cord because I want sports. Well, NES is available on streaming. Yes, PlayStation View dropped it, but there's other ones out there. MSG is available for streaming. ESPN, Fox Sports, etc. We could go on. New York City is an excellent cord-cutting place for sports fans. Mm-hmm. It was, to say painful is a huge understatement. Because literally, I don't know if they're just misinformed. I want to give them the benefit of the doubt that maybe they just don't know what they're talking about.
Sure.
You would think a cable executive would know what their competition is. Maybe they're just not used to having competition. Maybe they're not used to having to know what the competition does. But I can't tell you how many times I wanted to run on the stage and be like, this is all... yeah, this is all junk. This isn't true. And what was even more painful, remember back in April, we saw the releases, and March too, that cord cutting is going to slow down. Remember that? Mm-hmm. There was some analysts at the pay TV show where their job is to analyze the TV market for investors and stuff, right, saying things like you can't get sports without cable. And I was like, really? And they were talking about specific networks that you can't get them without cable. And I was like, that network is fully available. And it was one of those networks that was like...
Really?
Yeah, it was one of those networks that was on like everything.
Mm-hmm.
So I was very... it was a very eye-opening that two things. A, either cable executives are completely ignorant of what they're talking about, or B, they're deliberately just lying to people. Benefit of the doubt, I'm going to say they're completely ignorant. But the analysts, these people who are releasing these reports that say cord cutting is going to slow down. Well, we all know now that cord cutting set a record in the first quarter of 2019. So I'm very amazed at how they didn't even seem to know anything. So that's my rant. I don't know. It was very shocking. What was your impressions of what you read from the coverage?
I think it's just very interesting thinking about an executive from a streaming service next to a cable executive. There's just something about that makes me laugh. I don't know. I just think it's, like you said, you want to give them the benefit of the doubt. You want to think they genuinely don't know what's out there, what's available. But you have to think at a company that big with that much money, you can't hire someone to do something that I can do in 5 minutes. I can easily check these websites and see what's available and what's not. I mean, go to cordcuttersnews.com. You'll find out exactly what's available everywhere.
There you go. You know, it's funny you say that because I can't tell you how many people from major cable companies came up to me like, hey, I read your newsletter. We watch your videos. I was like, thank you. And before I can hear the comments, well, you know, they're busy. They're executives. They're not, you know, they're not researching this. Well,
should be.
Yeah, they should be. And if you are a executive coming to a convention like this to directly argue why cable is better than cord cutting, you better know what you're talking about, because you know you're going to get eaten alive if you didn't. And you saw that. You saw PlayStation View. You saw Sling TV. You saw Philo executives push back on that. Not as hard as I would like, maybe because they do have to an extent, deal with some of these companies.
Sure.
But I don't know. It was very interesting. And for the listeners, I'm going to be posting more videos over the weekend and next week that I've shot. And I apologize, the audio may not have been the best. Unfortunately, you know, we're not hosting it, so it's not like I can go up there and put mics on the people. The audio in the room was subpar. But I think it's still interesting, even if the audio is a little echoey, to listen to it to get an idea what they were saying, because I thought it was very eye-opening that our average reader would know more about streaming than these executives. Mm-hmm. And not just because there are readers, but just 15 minutes on these services would tell you more.
Right. And fair to say that CEOs don't have the time to do that themselves, but that's why they have people working for them that could easily do that.
Or send an executive who specializes in this. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm sure there's PR reps that would be happy to argue this all. But let's dive into the news. That's my rant for the day. Watch those videos because
Luke's rants. It's a new little thing we're going to stick at the beginning of this podcast.
Sometimes I tell you I do want to scream and yell, but watch those videos for yourself and listen to them, and you know I think you would be amazed at what some of these executives said. But let's dive into it because we have so much news. Let's start off with Disney now fully controlling Hulu. So quick roundup. Originally, it was a 30-30-30 10% split. It was Fox with 30, Disney with 30%, Comcast, NBCU with 30%, and AT&T with 10%. Disney buys Fox's 30% share, has 60% now. Mysteriously, the weirdest thing in the world, apparently AT&T didn't live up to some contract deal where they had to be on certain calls, so they lost part of their contract that was worth millions. Went back, and then Hulu went and bought the rest. So Hulu owned the rest of it, not Disney, not Comcast, as some people falsely reported. And now, so that was down to basically Disney and Comcast. Now Comcast has agreed to, for now, maintain their ownership, but give Hulu full voting rights of their shares. So basically, Comcast is going to take their members off the board, which they only added last fall, and there's an option in 2024, if from my understanding, that Disney could buy Comcast, and I think even Comcast could force Disney to buy their shares.
Story said. Mm-hmm.
And it wouldn't be worth. It would be worth at least $5.8 billion. So it would be very interesting to see how that turns out, where that goes. But now Disney has the ability to have full control over Hulu. The biggest question is that good or bad? Does that scare you, Jess?
I think we all saw it coming. I don't really know how I feel about it yet, but I think that we were all kind of prepared for this. We just talked about it last week, that we all sort of saw this coming. The biggest question from our readers has been, how will this affect the pricing of different services now that Disney just owns so much? With their new streaming service coming out, now they own Hulu and everything. So our readers are mostly concerned about how this is going to affect the pricing of Hulu. What do you think about that?
I would say this is very unlikely to affect the pricing of Hulu anytime soon. Disney wants a certain mass. Now, Hulu just went down in price. The fact is, no service stays at the same price forever. Someday, everybody has to raise the price. You know, you want a bigger paycheck, I want a bigger paycheck. Well, paychecks come in the world of Hulu from subscribers to, you know, to meet out the requirements of new content and deals with like NBC and more. You have to, you know, charge more. Now, one thing I almost forgot to cover the cost of everything. Maybe remember here that NBC has agreed to keep their content on Hulu, so it's not going to leave anytime soon.
I was just going to say the same thing. They're extending their licensing through 2024 for now.
There is a weird catch there, though, that when NBC launches their other streaming service, some of that content could be dual. So it could be on NBC's new service and it could be on Hulu.
Right.
Which is very interesting to me. But so keep a close eye on this. You know, I would expect Hulu to keep their price. Disney Plus is at $6.99. Disney seems to be very aggressive. They've even talked about bundle with the, not explicitly said, but the hint that the bundle deal would be a cheaper deal. If you get like Disney Plus, Hulu has announced that Disney Plus and ESPN Plus will become an add-on, just like HBO and stuff. You just check a box and right there it is.
I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, so I think this is all good news for cord cutting. This is all good news for the future of everybody. More so than not, Disney. For all the negatives about Disney, they were one of the very first major TV companies to become cord cutting friendly with their Sling TV deal. They have been working very hard to bring out cord cutting services with Disney Plus and more. So we'll see. Anything you want to add there, Jess?
No, I was just reading reader comments on the Facebook page. I think pricing is what people were most concerned about, and we addressed that. And then people keep saying, this is outrageous. Disney is taking over the world. And I know it can feel like that whenever we hear about them so much, but I don't think we have anything to be worried about.
You know, there's definitely a consolidation in old media. And I think it's a response to new media. You know, it used to be CBS, ABC, Fox, and NBC, right? And 99% of all media 15, 20 years ago went through those main channels. And now, then Viacom split off and there was some delusion there. But then, that's probably not the right word to use there. But there is, now there's Netflix, Hulu, Amazon and stuff. And well, yes, some of this stuff is being produced by them under the Netflix, Hulu, and Amazon brand. But these are major studios now. You know, Netflix just bought a small movie studio to produce their own content that are competing. So I would argue that there's still a huge diversity in content.
Yeah, and I think Disney's trying to stay in the game.
Yeah, and I think this is a move to counter Netflix, Hulu, and Amazon to say, okay, they're eating up a bigger and bigger piece. Let's get a bigger and bigger piece of the traditional media. So
absolutely.
All right, well, let's keep moving because there is something that just is absolutely scratching my mind. It's just I still can't wrap my head around this. But AT&T CEO sat down and had a talk during the JP Morgan conference this week, and in short said, all those people canceling DirecTV and DirecTV Now and Uverse, you know, we lost 500,000 subscribers. Not a problem. We wanted them to leave. They're low revenue. We're not making enough money from them. The short end of it, and I encourage you, if you haven't, to go down in the show notes on this, read the post about this story, read what he said, because I have the full quote right there. That he basically wants, what he calls high quality customers with a high average revenue. So these are the people getting the highly expensive packages with the large profit margins. This is not cord cutters.
Yeah.
Which is very strange because 1 year ago, you could get DirecTV Now for $10 a month from them. You know, you just stack on a few discounts and you're good to go. AT&T's clearly, and even at the pay TV show, there's some analysts that said AT&T has made a conscious decision to not go after these kind of customers, that they want the Apple model. My problem with this, and I want to know what you think, Jess, is ESPN looks the same on DirecTV Now and DirecTV as it does on PlayStation Vue or Comcast. It's not like they're offering me something exclusive. HBO, while owned by AT&T, I can get through HBO Now for the same price, basically. So I just, unlike Apple, where I can say, this is an Apple product, this is a premium piece of hardware that may have something that an Android doesn't. Mm-hmm. You know, really Apple or DirecTV is saying, our user interface is going to be better, so we're going to charge a premium for it? Is that what they're trying to say? Because everybody has ESPN, everybody has Fox News and CNN and MSNBC. I don't know. What do you think, Jess?
I read this story and just laughed, and then you told me that we would talk about it today, and I just laughed again. This is crazy. Like you said, Apple can do that because Apple has the loyal fan base. They have a premium product to charge for. I don't think DirecTV has that. I mean, if we're judging by the Facebook comments that we've been seeing, they do not have a loyal fan base.
No.
And I can't say that they are offering, like you said, they're not offering anything magical. So this feels kind of like a slap in the face to the people that have subscribed to them and have stayed loyal. They're just saying, you know, if you don't want to pay this price, fine, see ya, we don't care. Do whatever you want. And that just seems like not a good move.
A lot of the comments suggested that this is pure spin. He doesn't believe this, but he's saying it to investors because he wants their money, right? You know, look at us. We'll just get these highly profitable people. We'll make more money. Mm-hmm. Do you think he really believes this? Or is this just spin?
Or does he have enough of an ego? I mean, I hate to talk bad about someone that I don't know, but is his ego so big that he genuinely believes my company is the best company? No one can compare.
I don't know. It makes you wonder, you know, he may not believe he's the best company, but he may believe that he can get you bought in maybe with AT&T Wireless and AT&T Home Internet and more. Well, you know, did SpaceX did it actually launch yesterday? I know they delayed the first launch.
Check, actually. Let me.
You check that real quick. But SpaceX this week is launching 60 satellites as part of the first home internet push, with more launching this fall, with the idea to start, I guess, in the next year to 2 years, start selling internet from space, low Earth orbit, so much faster, much lower internet. You know, how long until people even say, hey, even if it's not as good as Comcast, it's good enough that, you know, I can ditch AT&T, I can ditch Comcast. Will, you know, 5G fixed wireless. When I was in Denver, Starry, which is a 5G fixed wireless company, launched there, which offers $200-300 down, $50, no data cap, no device rentals. And I talked to some people there that used it. I got even an email from one of our readers who uses it in Denver, who absolutely loves it. Yeah. And the email ended, and I don't have to have Comcast anymore. So, you know, AT&T, red flag alert.
More competition than they think.
Yeah. I don't know. Did you find out they actually launched yesterday?
I did, yeah. It says that there were issues with satellite software forcing the company to scrub the attempt, delaying the launch another 7 days. Okay. So it looks like they just have to get some things fixed up and ready to go. Very
common. And with the fact that they're launching so soon, even if they do it next week or even next month, I mean, they just received FCC approval a couple of weeks ago. Right. All reports are that they are already very far along the lines of being ready to offer internet service. So, and Amazon's doing the same. Mm-hmm. So, I'm very interesting, you know, and it brings up a question. Again, going back to the pay TV show, the number one thing cable executives said to me, and on stage, and I'll post some of those videos here in a minute. Actually, the one of the videos is already live here. The cable executives living in denial of cord cutting video. They said it repeatedly. Oh, you know what? If they cancel, we still have them as an internet customer. Well, will you when Starry's building their own system, Amazon's building their own home internet, SpaceX is building theirs, you know, and new entries. You know, for instance, Spectrum is launching 5G in their competitors' markets. So soon, maybe Spectrum Internet will be in Comcast. T-Mobile is, Verizon is, AT&T is, and more. You know, Comcast, Spectrum, Cox, guess what? Red alert. You know, your traditionally markets that you dominate, you won't soon.
Well, and the thing is, don't put down such a big group of your customers knowing that all this competition's coming in. I mean, don't inflate yourself so much and lose all these customers and say, oh, it's no problem, we didn't need them anyway. You're going to soon. So don't make sweeping statements like that.
I don't know. They know press is sitting in the front row. I got my camera pointed right at them. I mean, I'm dead. I always got there early to every talk so I could get front row center with my camera gear all set up. And then they and it's like you know you're on video.
Right. It's on the internet. It's forever. It's not going anywhere.
In 5 years from now, let somebody clip out that little clip of those cable executives saying, "Oh, we just have your internet. We don't care if you cut the cord." Let's see what they say in about 5 years. Mm-hmm. All right, let's keep moving on to the next story. And we're going to be talking about the pay TV show because it seems like every story has a cutback to that. Mm-hmm. But we heard for months now, right, that there is something called app fatigue. And I even heard many executives in that same one that's like, why would you get 5 different apps, which most cord cutters actually have 4 or less services, it's reported. But why would you do that when you could just get cable and pay one bill, have one service to watch your TV with? And the idea, and they push the idea that cord cutters are becoming increasingly frustrated with having to have multiple apps to watch what they want.
Sure.
Well, I've always argued, well, first of all, let's say I do decide I want to go back to cable. Well, cable is not going to give me the content on ESPN Plus. It's not going to give me all the Star Trek Discovery, the new Star Trek Picard show on CBS. That's not there. The Handmaid's Tale is not on cable. Stranger Things is not on cable. The Tom Clancy show, the Miss Marvelous, or whatever the Amazon one.
Maisel.
Thank you. My wife absolutely loves that show. I think I've seen half of it.
You should watch it with her.
I probably should. It looked really good. But this is content not available through cable. So even if I get cable, I won't be able to access so much content.
Right.
And it's even been shown that over half of cable subscribers also subscribe to a streaming service. Well, the research group TDG, which is a very well-respected research group, and I actually have his full presentation I'll probably be posting tomorrow. Highly encourage you to watch it. Saturday, May 18th, I'll probably post that. But according to him, he surveyed several thousand cord cutters. 65% said they had the right number of streaming services. They're very happy. 23% actually said they'll probably be adding more. And there's some additional fractions of a percent here. And only 10% said, I feel like I have too many services and I need to cut back. From this, it would tell me that the vast majority of cord cutters have found the services that offer them what they want, and they're very happy. What about you, Jess? How do you feel with all these services out there?
I think it's great. I'm somebody who is very indecisive, so I love that I can just kind of pick and choose. And from month to month, from month to month, I can choose which services I want and which ones I'm ready to give up for a while. So, like, I now have CBS All Access because I am binge watching The Twilight Zone, which will be my recommendation later. But whenever I'm done watching that, I'll probably cancel for a while. And then if they come out with something else that I want to see, I will go back and get it again. And I think that's the way a lot of our readers are, too. They will subscribe for some short period of time. I think that people are just happy to have the option to pick and choose. Yeah.
And I mean, here's the thing. You want a la carte, right? Well, we're moving that direction. This is the first step of a la carte TV. I just, this idea that you can go back to cable and get all your content for one flat bill is just not a reality. Now, TDG proposed that they expect, you have Amazon channels and Apple TV channels and Roku channels. By the way, people, can we have a service not, have the same name as everybody else? But they said that they fully believe in the next couple of years that you'll find bundles. It's like, okay, for $40, pick one premium service like Showtime or HBO, pick a Netflix, Hulu, something like that, and maybe a Curiosity Stream. And you could bundle, multiple services at a discounted rate through this. And he was talking about how that's the future of TV. The bundle of, get Netflix, Hulu, Amazon at a discounted rate. Now, we're already maybe seeing that because Disney's talked about, as we said earlier, Hulu, ESPN Plus, and Disney Plus at a discounted rate. So, what do you think, Jess?
Do you think that that's sort of what Apple was trying to do whenever they were developing their channel situation? Because I know they were trying to get Netflix, and Netflix was not on board. Do you think that they were trying to do that kind of like being the hub where you could subscribe to everything?
Well, they definitely want to be the hub because you subscribe to everything because they want a cut of it. Because when you subscribe through Apple, they take 30%, I believe. And that's why Apple, when you subscribe to a service through Apple, often it's more expensive. Like YouTube TV costs more through Apple than it does if you go directly to the YouTube's website, sign up there.
The convenience of having everything in one location.
Yeah, which is weird because like Amazon must take a lower cut. I don't know what it is off the top of my head, but Amazon, when I look at them, the pricing on Amazon channels is the same as I would get directly through the provider. Now, sometimes sales aren't there. Like Starz will have a sale that's available through Starz.com, but not on Amazon channels. But I think Apple is actually more about getting that money. Now, they could, down the road, get in this bundle. And I think that's where everybody for now just wants to answer the question of how do we make managing multiple subscriptions easier, right? Because, you know, Curiosity Stream, $2.99, Hulu, $5.99, Disney Plus, $6.99. You can bundle 4 or 5 of these very easily and stay under $50.
Yeah, definitely.
So keep a close eye on this because there is, this is a change. It does address a major pain point, but it is a pain point to manage multiple ones, but not so much that I think people are running back to cable. I just don't see it, and we definitely don't see it in the number of Americans cutting the cord because they revised it this week up to 1.325 million Americans. American households, because that could be 4 or 5 million Americans. You know how. Mm-hmm. It could be very possible that a lot more people out there than we even know have cut the cord.
Yeah.
So let's keep moving on to the next story, unless you have anything to add.
Nope.
All right. And now the battle for your living room streaming has been very hot. Amazon, Apple TV, and Roku have been fighting it out. In our studies, Roku is one of the most popular streaming devices out there. Is 70% of our readers saying they use a Roku, but the Fire TV is the fastest growing, and we see it's been taking share from especially the Apple TVs and the Android TVs. Roku last week announced 29.1 million active accounts, not devices, these are accounts, where the Amazon team announced they have 34 million active accounts. How many devices, we don't know, to be honest with you, because like Roku, I think the cap is somewhere. Each account can have 20-some Rokus on it, which I discovered in our last round of new Roku reviews that I suddenly had to delete some. We have too many Rokus here. We have 30-some. But that with accounts that they have more. I'm very interested in this. I did get a chance to talk with the president of the head of the Fire TV at Pay TV Show in a one-on-one meeting. Very nice person, very friendly. And was happy to answer our questions. And she asked me what about our readers, and I said, well, 70% of them in our last survey said they use Roku, and I talked about all the different steps about how Fire TV was the next one, still a ways back, but growing very fast. And she said that she believes that's because most people, like they say they have a Kleenex when they don't have a Kleenex brand tissue.
Mm-hmm.
That people just say they own a Roku even when they don't own a Roku. I'm not sure I've ever seen that before, but it could be out there. But according to Amazon, they are now the largest streaming player out there in the world at the moment. Surprising? Yes, no, because Roku's been around longer. Apple's been around a lot longer.
Yeah.
Does it surprise you at all?
I don't know. Yeah, it's very interesting to me that Fire has this many, but we're still seeing. I don't know if I buy into this whole Roku Kleenex similarity that she was talking about. I think I'm just trying to think about it because I know that like you and I are so immersed in the industry, and I made a comment like this last week also. We're so immersed in it that of course we know the difference between all of these, but now I'm kind of wondering for people outside of the cord cutting community, if they've only heard of one device, which one would it be? I would almost think it would be Amazon instead, just because everybody loves Amazon so much.
You can't trip and not hit an Amazon at Best Buy or something.
Yeah, exactly. Like I even get ads all the time for Amazon Echoes, and they're always on sale. I feel like people know the name.
I mean,
so I'm not sure that like Roku is the most recognizable.
Do me a favor, go on Amazon, search for Roku. What's the number one product that shows up? The Fire TV. What's at the top of the Roku page on the Amazon site? It's an ad for a Fire TV.
Yeah, which is brilliant on their part.
Brilliant. Also using their power to benefit themselves over competitors. But, it's their site. They have every right to do that.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. Sure.
Yeah, so I don't know. Now, the Fire TV is not in Walmart. Walmart, for whatever you may say, Walmart is a huge seller of technology.
True.
Go into a Walmart tech center, get a clicker, count the number of people who are back there where the computers are and the streaming players and the game systems. Go to Best Buy, stand at the door, just count everybody walking into Best Buy. I would strive to argue that you would probably have more people in a Walmart tech area for gaming and streaming players and computers than a Best Buy. Best Buy may be more big ticket items, more people go there to get that particular kind of thing. So I'm sure that's a hold up there, but you walk into Best Buy and Rokus are kind of hidden away. They're hidden a little bit, and you have massive displays with their partnership with Best Buy. You go into Whole Foods now, and it feels like an Amazon hardware store. So why is this important? I think it's maybe something we should talk about real quick. Is when you're the largest and you have the most users on your streaming platform, you do have the ability to kind of dictate what happens. You do have the ability to say, hey, if you want to reach cord cutters, you have to use our device.
Yeah.
Now, that's been Roku for years, in the United States at least. Now, Amazon and Roku are not always available in the same markets around the world. I'll be interesting. The other maybe thing that you honestly have to talk about here, have you ever gone into a Facebook local sale page?
Yeah.
It seems like every time I go on there, there's somebody like, hey, jailbroken Fire TV, pay me $80 and I'll sell you all this. Well, they've capped the number of accounts or devices per account. How many of these accounts are people right here where I live in Texas, there's maybe 4 or 5 guys that they put pictures up of 200 Fire TVs that they're selling for double the price, but promising you crazy things that aren't true. How many Fire TV accounts are those kind of people? Because he must represent at least 30 or 40. And that's just in my town, in my local, pick up here area. And I've seen them in my hometown, Michigan, and in other areas.
So is your argument that the Fire TV is easier to do things like that with than the Roku?
Oh, yeah. There's these APK files people talk about for pirated content. There are some legitimate ones, but a lot of them are pirated. Don't work on Rokus, but they work on the Fire TVs. Fire TVs are the most popular ones for that.
Interesting.
So is that skewing this number? I don't know. I find it very interesting. And I'd love to actually see how many devices were sold. And, the one question we can never answer, because there's no way to know it, is how many of these are actually the same person that are reselling them as set up jailbroken Fire TVs. I know they're not really jailbroken, but that's what people call them.
Right.
So, I don't know. We'll see. If you're listening to this, watching on YouTube, or saw the post on our site, leave us a comment. I'd love to know what the readers and listeners think about this. All right, let's move on to the next one. So remember when I talked about at the upfronts and the new fronts where they're talking about the advertising? AT&T had theirs through their Warner Media where they're talking to advertisers, and they said some new details. Nothing, about their streaming service that's coming out later this year. Most of it we already knew. For instance, we already knew. Actually, this was from AT&T CEO at a conference in Dallas, apparently, according to the Dallas News. I'll have to double check that. But he reaffirmed that there will be multiple price points on it. He reaffirmed there will be ads on at least the lower plans. Doesn't necessarily mean it's free. It may be like a Hulu where you get a cheaper plan if you have ads, or a more expensive one if you don't. But he said that they will be pulling their content back from places like Hulu, Amazon, and Netflix to put it behind the walled garden of AT&T's service. NBC has kind of hinted at the same idea. They have, because Disney reportedly lowered the price to $10, but NBC basically said, hey, this is not a cord cutting service. This is going to be basically as an added benefit to cable subscribers where cord cutters could get it too, but they're not our focus. And AT&T is doing the same thing. AT&T is going to offer it to, I guess, cable subscribers either at a reduced rate or for free. We'll have to wait and see for more. But it sounds like they're trying to go behind walled gardens. And we had a big discussion about this with some executives at the pay TV show. And the idea came up that there's so much good content. It used to be back in the 90s, the good content was ABC, NBC, Fox, and CBS.
Yep.
Now, you never watched all of it, right? But you got your content from there. Well, I would argue that the content that Warner Media offers is no better than the content that Netflix or Hulu is offering me. And there's no way I'm watching all of it. So will NBC be able to draw enough cord cutters and ABC enough cord cutters as cable keeps dropping? I mean, your cable subscription, I'm not convinced that this is going to keep people subscribed to cable. No. So I don't know. What do you think of, ABC or AT&T and Warner Media seem to be having the same plan as NBC here? What do you think, Jess?
Something that I wanted to look into with all of this was what content they're offering that makes them think that they'll pull people. And to be fair, they have 3 huge shows just among a long list of shows. They have an incredible content library. But it would mean Friends, Seinfeld, and Big Bang Theory would all be leaving, and that they would have control of those. Those are huge shows, and I think that there's definitely a huge audience that would want to stick around for those. What I think is really interesting about this story is that they are gearing their things to cable customers in hopes of keeping them cable customers. To me, offering this as like a side service, it's kind of like a gateway drug to cord cutting, don't you think? I mean, like, let me tease you with this cool idea of this stuff on demand and watching live, but stay with cable, and people are going to watch this and think, oh, this is really cool. Now I'm going to go subscribe to Hulu over here because I like this setup so much.
I have often argued that Comcast putting all these streaming services on their box hurts them a long time because,
yeah, absolutely.
It may prevent me from getting a Roku, but now I'm finding that more and more of my viewing is shifting over to streaming instead of the cable box. And and this is an argument we hear. We just don't use our cable enough to justify the cost.
Exactly.
And if you're encouraging streaming, how quickly before it's like, Warner Media is great, but I have to have this $150, $200 cable bill, $300 cable bill. I hear all the time. At what point do they just say, forget it, I'm going to streaming only, and even if it means missing out on a show.
On instead of this $500, that's exaggerating, obviously.
One of the things, I know Seinfeld was originally, I think, distributed by them, but I'm confused, and this may be completely wrong, but I was under the impression that Sony owns the rights to Seinfeld now.
Oh.
Because remember,
the source was incorrect.
I could be completely wrong, but Sony put it on Sony Crackle because they owned it. Remember, they were rotating, still are rotating the content.
Mm-hmm.
So I was under the impression, and I could be completely wrong, somebody leave a message. So to our army of readers and listeners out there, is it AT&T that owns the rights to Seinfeld, or is it Sony that owns the rights to Seinfeld? Because here's the weird thing. For instance, you will often get a CBS-owned show like ET, Entertainment Tonight, CBS owned, typically doesn't air on CBS channels.
Interesting.
So there's often times where, Fox does this sometimes, where Fox will air it, but it will actually be produced by NBC, ABC, or CBS or somebody. So somebody leave me a comment, because it's so hard to track all these. Who owns the rights to Seinfeld? And is Seinfeld enough of a reason to go pay $10? I don't know. I mean,
if you really love Seinfeld, buy the DVDs.
Get a season pass to it on iTunes. But all right, so let's keep moving forward. I'm going to keep a very close eye on this. I am not sold at all at AT&T's plans here. I'm not sold at all on NBC's plans. We'll see. All right, next one up. Last story of the day, and it's AT&T. I tell you, they made news this week. In the same speech where AT&T talked about, from my understanding, it was the same speech where he talked about not wanting those low revenue customers. They also announced that, hey, guess what? We're going to continue to lose subscribers, and we're going to launch a thin version of DirecTV that'll be streaming only, launching later this year. Now, we've known that AT&T is going to launch a streaming version of DirecTV to compete with DirecTV Now, and to compete with AT&T Watch TV. And that what it'll look like, we don't know. Initially, it was talked about that it would be just basically a streaming version, a straight up streaming version of the satellite packages. Mm-hmm. But now he's thrown the word thin in. What does thin mean? What is the definition of is? I think we're at right now.
Absolutely.
I don't know what thin means. I would assume that means a smaller package. AT&T has talked about cutting down to the core popular channels. They did that with DirecTV Now. We'll have to wait and see. The other question is, how does DirecTV's thin version compete with DirecTV Now? In my mind, it makes me wonder if DirecTV Now is going away. Are we going to have DirecTV's thin streaming version replace DirecTV Now? I don't know, but sure sounds like it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. From reading this story, Jess, how did you take away what he said and what he's doing?
That was my question exactly. So are they replacing it? Have they outpriced themselves in the market where they know that they can't compete with these other services and still be profitable? So are they trying now to get into that lower tier? And then can they compete with things like Sling TV with Philo, the lower priced services?
I don't know. I really don't. What I can say is, I got that DirecTV box, the box of the box right here. It seems like they're moving hard. They got hardware, a streaming version that they're testing with DirecTV Now, which seems to be very clearly pointed to replacing the set-top box in your house with a streaming one. It seems like they're betting all their money on this device, but it's just not there yet.
Yeah.
I don't know. AT&T hurts my head.
Agreed. They have a lot going on this week.
Yeah, I can't make heads or tails of what they're doing. I don't understand their philosophy. Heck, Sling TV's president said they're anti-competitive. Mm-hmm. And he basically said everything what they warned during, I'm paraphrasing here, but everything that people were worried about during the trial when they were buying Time Warner, that is now Warner Media, is coming true. In a paraphrase right there. You can watch it. I have the video posted on our YouTube channel. There are some concerns there. They definitely are raising prices. They definitely are being very aggressive. You look at, they've had fights with Viacom. They have fights with A&E Network. They had a fight with Sling, which HBO was still not there, and Dish. And, hey, it's definitely a very interesting time right now.
I think there's just so much going on, and AT&T is trying so hard to stay relevant right now that they're all over the place. I think they would have been better off this week just kind of laying low and seeing what everyone else was doing, because I think they're trying so hard to stay in the game that they are just kind of confusing people, including us.
The problem AT&T has is they're a publicly traded company. They have to make waves. They have to get their voice out there to get the investor money, right? Because if I'm an investor and I open the newspaper and I see 500,000 people canceling AT&T's TV services in the first 3 quarters, and I start reading about competition in wireless phones, in space, internet from space, and 5G, and Starry rolling out, and more, oh boy, that's scary.
Yeah, I think the timing just was not there for AT&T.
Yeah.
Time's not on their side.
Well, AT&T, we're watching you. Impress us. Show us something.
Give us anything.
Yeah, you have to think that they got some secret plan here. For all that we complain about AT&T, they're not stupid. Mm-hmm. AT&T has done a lot in the industry. They have a very good phone system to build off. They have an aggressive strategy for home internet. They have a vision of where they want to go. The question is that a good vision? Is that going to be successful for them? I don't know. I don't think anybody knows. All we can do is wait and see.
Yep.
So that's it for the news of the day, unless you have anything you want to throw out. I mean,
I've got nothing after that.
I have a bad habit of dropping news stories on Jess, so this will give her an opportunity to drop one on me for once. But why don't you go ahead and give us your suggestion on what people should be checking out this week.
Yeah, so earlier I mentioned I had resubscribed to CBS All Access, and I did it specifically, I wanted to watch the Big Bang series finale, which was on last night, and it was great. But also I was binge watching The Twilight Zone, directed by Jordan Peele. So good, highly recommend. Great series. I'm, I think, 5 episodes into it now, and I love it.
Well, I want to throw out 2, actually. So The Twilight Zone, the new one's back on CBS, and they're actually going to do a black and white version. I guess you could be able to watch it in black and white, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
But if you don't have CBS All Access and you wanted to get that whole, Twilight Zone Outer Limits kind of feel, well, the 1990s version of the Outer Limits, I want to say there's 2, but I may be mistaken there.
I think they brought it back.
Yeah, but the 1995, the 3 seasons here, so 95, 96, and 97, I believe, is streaming with your Amazon Prime membership right now. So if you kind of enjoy that, and that's kind of your enjoyment, check it out, because it's a lot of fun. I watched a little bit of The Twilight Zone. I was impressed with some pretty good writing. Of course, not every story in these kind of things is going to be good, but the effort that CBS made there to make it high quality, 2 thumbs up on that. And if you're looking for something a little bit maybe more cheesy, a little bit more nostalgic, Outer Limits seasons 1, 2, and 3 on Amazon Prime right now. All right, everybody, that's it for this week. We should be back on Thursday next week as we continue to do this. Check us out on. I added a few more apps out there to support us. Of course, if you're watching us on YouTube, in the show notes down below, I'll have an MP3 and I'll have the RSS where you could take that and add it to your favorite one. Working on getting us in Spotify, working on TuneIn, Google Podcasts. So those are the 3 I'm going to try to work on next week now that I'm home. So check us out for your favorite podcast app. Hit the thumbs up, hit 5 stars if you're watching us on or listen to us on your favorite app. If it offers that, it helps us out a lot. Hopefully we can help you break free from the high cost of cable TV and still watch what you enjoy. So take care, everybody. Have a great weekend. Be safe. Hopefully it's warm wherever you are. And we'll talk to you again real soon.